All right, welcome to another deep dive. This one's going to be pretty cool because we're going deep on the apostles and disciples.
Oh,
But
yeah.
our main source material is not going to be, some dusty old book or anything. It's a
Uh,
song.
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I was thinking, songs are not the first thing that come to mind
Right.
when you think about studying the apostles and disciples, but
When you think about it, they
yeah.
really can capture like the essence of people and stories
Yeah.
in ways that straight history, sometimes misses.
Yeah, and I thought it was so cool because
Yeah.
it really does give us a glimpse into,
Yeah.
like the personalities and the impact of all these different figures.
It's kind of like, looking at a familiar painting with fresh eyes.
Mm.
Suddenly you notice details you've never seen before.
Okay, so the song kicks off with Andrew,
Okay.
and it really paints him as this, faithful brother,
Yeah.
totally dedicated to following Jesus and spreading the message,
Right.
but always with humility.
Right.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how the song emphasizes Andrew's humility.
Hmm.
It reminds us that he wasn't
Yeah.
seeking fame or recognition.
Right.
He was really focused on, serving this greater purpose.
Right.
And it also, plays into that classic image of Andrew as the one who brought people to Jesus,
Mm.
almost like a bridge builder.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not out there shouting from the rooftops. He's
No.
kind of quietly
Right.
connecting people to something bigger than themselves.
Precisely. And that understated approach,
Right.
can be just as powerful, if not more so, than a more,
Mm.
vocal or assertive style.
Right.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Bartholomew,
Okay.
who meets Jesus under a fig tree.
Hmm.
Now, I always thought fig trees were just,
Mhm.
trees that grew figs, but the
Uh-huh.
song makes it sound like some kind of special,
Yeah.
symbolic meeting place.
You're onto something there.
Mm.
In many traditions, the fig tree is associated with, knowledge, wisdom,
Hmm.
even a kind of spiritual awakening.
Hmm.
So this meeting under the fig tree
Right.
could represent Bartholomew's moment of enlightenment,
Yeah.
when he recognizes Jesus' teachings as truth.
So it's not just random location. It's like
Right.
adding another layer of meaning.
Exactly. And the song goes on to describe Bartholomew as, sincere, truthful,
Mm.
courageous, someone who guides others towards eternity.
Mm.
It's suggesting that his encounter with Jesus under the fig tree wasn't just a personal transformation.
Right.
It was the beginning of a mission
Mm.
to share that understanding with the world.
Okay, now we come to Philip,
Okay.
the seeker of truth.
Right.
And the song really emphasizes this idea of him constantly searching for answers
Yeah,
and
right.
finally finding them in Jesus.
Yeah. What I find interesting is how the song portrays Philip's search as an active one.
Mm.
He's not just passively waiting for enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
He's actively seeking it out.
Right.
It almost makes you picture him engaging Jesus in deep conversations,
Right.
challenging assumptions, and really trying to get to the heart of his teachings.
It's like he's embodying that saying,
Yeah.
seek and you shall find.
Right.
But it wasn't just about finding the truth for himself.
Absolutely not. The song paints Philip as a light bringer,
Hmm.
someone who illuminates the path for others.
Right.
He takes that knowledge he's gained through his seeking
Mm.
and uses it to guide others towards a deeper understanding.
All right, so buckle up because now we've got two Jameses coming at us.
Oh, yeah.
First, we have James, the son of thunder, which, let's be honest, is an awesome nickname.
Yeah.
The song depicts him as this powerful figure
Yeah.
whose voice, quote, resounded on every path,
Wow.
spreading truth with courage and love.
You can't help but imagine him as this charismatic preacher, almost a rock star of his time,
Yeah.
captivating crowds with his fiery speeches and
Right.
passionate delivery.
Right.
Son of Thunder nickname really fits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests a certain intensity of forcefulness
Right.
in his personality and his message.
It definitely paints a vivid picture.
Yeah.
But then we have another James,
Yeah.
the servant of Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, this James is all about humility,
Uh-huh.
quiet devotion,
Yeah.
and preaching truth with simplicity.
Isn't it fascinating how the song presents these two contracting figures, both named James, both devoted followers of Jesus,
Right.
but with such different approaches?
Right.
It's like a reminder that there isn't just one way to express faith or to serve a higher purpose.
It's like a yin and yang of discipleship.
Yeah.
And it's also a great reminder that even within a close-knit group, there
Yeah,
can
yeah,
be a
yeah.
huge range of personalities and styles. And it makes you wonder how those different personalities might have
Yeah.
interacted and contributed to their overall mission.
I think you've hit on something really important there.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about blindly following.
Mm,
It was about each individual bringing their own unique strengths
right.
and perspectives to the table.
Okay. Ready to meet another apostle?
Yeah.
This time, it's John,
Okay.
who the song calls the
Yeah.
witness of heavenly glory.
Mm.
And he's portrayed as this deeply spiritual figure, almost angelic,
Yeah.
someone who's tapped into a higher level of understanding.
Yeah, what's interesting is how John is often associated with the more mystical or spiritual
Mm,
aspects of Christianity.
mm,
Remember, he's the one who wrote the book of Revelation,
right,
which is filled with vivid imagery and symbolic language.
right.
The song seems to be tapping into that aspect of his personality,
Mm,
presenting him as someone who's had a glimpse of the divine
mm.
and is sharing that vision with others.
So he's not just preaching about faith.
Right.
He's offering a glimpse
Yeah,
into another realm,
exactly.
something beyond our everyday experience.
And his messages are described as eternal,
Hmm.
suggesting that they contain truths that transcend time and place,
Hmm.
offering comfort and guidance for generations to come.
Now, the song takes a turn with Judas.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, it acknowledges his betrayal,
Hmm.
but what I didn't expect was how it framed it. Not as the end of the story,
Right.
but as a potential turning point towards redemption.
It's a really interesting take
Yeah.
on a figure who's often vilified.
Right.
Instead of dwelling on the act of betrayal,
Mm-hmm.
the song seems to be suggesting that even in moments of profound error,
Mm.
the possibility of forgiveness and a return to grace exists.
So it's not condoning what he did,
Right.
but it's offering a more nuanced perspective,
Yeah.
reminding us that even in the darkest moments,
Mm.
there's still a path towards light.
It's a powerful message, and one that I think resonates deeply with the human experience.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, some graver than others,
Right.
but the idea that redemption is always possible, even for someone like Judas,
Yeah.
offers a glimmer of hope
Right.
and a reminder that it's never too late to seek forgiveness and find a path back to what's right.
It's a heavy topic, but I appreciate how the song
Right.
doesn't shy away from it and even manages to find a glimmer of hope in such a dark moment.
Yeah.
But let's move on to a figure who represents a more dramatic transformation.
Good.
Matthew, the tax collector.
Right.
Now, I know that in those days,
Yeah.
tax collectors weren't exactly the most popular guys in town.
You're right. In biblical times, tax collectors were often seen as collaborators with the Roman authorities, profiting from the oppression of their own people.
Right.
So for Matthew to leave that life behind and follow Jesus
Right.
was a radical decision. A complete rejection of his former identity
Yeah.
and a commitment to something much greater.
It's like a complete 180.
Yeah.
And the song celebrates him for writing his gospel,
Right.
emphasizing how his stories are filled with grace, faith, and love.
His transformation is a powerful testament to the transformative power of encountering Jesus' teachings. He goes from someone who is seen as profiting from the system to someone who dedicates his life to spreading a message of love, forgiveness, and redemption. And his gospel becomes a testament to that transformation,
Right.
a guide for others seeking a similar path.
All right, we can't talk about the apostles without mentioning Peter,
Right.
the rock star of the group, the
Mhm.
stone of faith, as the song calls him.
Right.
But it doesn't shy away from his less than stellar moment when he denied even knowing Jesus.
I think that's what makes Peter's story so compelling.
Yeah.
He's not presented as this flawless, unbreakable figure.
Mm.
He's human, capable of weakness and doubt.
Right.
But what's remarkable is his resilience.
Mm.
He learns from his mistakes, repents,
Yeah.
and ultimately becomes a pillar of strength for the early Christian community.
It's like his initial denial makes his eventual unwavering faith even more powerful.
Yeah.
He's a reminder that none of us are perfect,
Right.
but we can always choose to rise above our mistakes
Yeah,
and find strength in our beliefs.
absolutely.
But we're not done with the apostles just yet. There are a few more figures the song highlights,
Okay.
each with their own unique story and contribution to the early Christian movement.
And I think exploring those stories will give us even more insight into the diversity of personalities and approaches within Jesus's followers.
Right.
It wasn't a monolithic group.
Yeah.
It was a collection of individuals, each bringing their own strengths and experiences
Right.
to the table.
Let's dive back in and see what else we can uncover. Okay, so we've talked about some of the big names, like Peter and Andrew.
Yeah.
But this song doesn't just focus on,
Right.
like the usual suspects.
Yeah.
It also sheds light on some of the lesser-known figures, like Simon.
Right.
Now, I know we already talked about Simon Peter.
Right.
But this is a different Simon altogether.
Right. The song distinguishes between Simon Peter, who we've already discussed,
Right.
and this other Simon, sometimes referred to as Simon the Zealot. It's interesting because the term zealot back then didn't just mean someone who was really enthusiastic about something.
Yeah. What did it actually mean?
Well, the Zealots were a political group in Judea
Okay.
who were fiercely opposed to Roman rule. They were known for their, passionate resistance and willingness to fight for their beliefs.
Right.
So when the song describes Simon as having, persistent faith and zeal for the truth, it's hinting at a connection to this group and suggesting a certain intensity
Right.
and unwavering commitment in his character.
So this Simon might have been a bit of a revolutionary, someone who brought that same fire and passion to his faith in Jesus.
It's definitely a possibility, and it adds another layer of complexity to the group dynamic.
Yeah.
You've got, these fishermen, a tax collector,
Right.
and now potentially a former zealot,
Right.
all united under the banner of Jesus's teachings.
Right.
It speaks to the power of his message to transcend social and political boundaries.
It's like Jesus was building a movement that embraced people from all walks of life,
Right.
all united by their shared belief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that diversity of backgrounds and perspectives
Yeah.
probably contributed to the richness and dynamism
Right.
of the early Christian community.
It makes you wonder what those conversations must have been like.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Simon the Zealot,
Right.
and then there's Thomas, who the song calls out for, initially struggling with doubt. I mean, who hasn't been there, right?
Thomas is often portrayed as the skeptic, the one who needed proof before he could truly believe. But what's interesting is how the song frames his doubt,
Right.
not as a weakness, but as a stepping stone to a deeper, more profound understanding.
So instead of just blindly accepting things, he needed to see the evidence for himself.
Exactly. And when he finally encounters the resurrected Jesus, his doubt transforms into unwavering faith. It's like his initial skepticism
Right.
makes his eventual belief even more powerful and authentic.
It's a reminder that it's okay to question, to seek understanding,
Right.
to demand proof.
Yeah.
True faith isn't about blindly following. It's about finding answers that resonate with your own heart and mind.
It's also worth noting that Thomas's story challenges the idea that faith and reason are incompatible. His journey suggests that questioning and critical thinking can actually lead to a more mature and resilient faith.
Okay. And now we come to Mary Magdalene, a figure whose story has often been misunderstood and misrepresented.
Right.
But this song focuses on her strength, her resilience, and her unwavering devotion to Jesus.
Mary Magdalene's role in the resurrection narrative is incredibly significant. She's the first to witness the risen Christ. And her testimony becomes foundational to the early Christian belief. The song highlights her as a key figure,
Right.
emphasizing the importance of her experience and the impact it had on the development of Christianity.
I love how it portrays her as this pillar of strength, rising from pain and loss to become a beacon of hope and faith
Right.
for others.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of belief.
And it's also important to remember the historical context
Right.
in a society that often marginalized women. Mary Magdalene's role as a key witness and leader within the early Christian community is even more remarkable.
It's like the song is reclaiming her rightful place in the narrative,
Right.
highlighting her contributions and challenging traditional interpretations that have often diminished her role.
Precisely. And by doing so,
Yeah.
it's also prompting us to reconsider the roles and contributions of other women in the early Christian movement. It encourages us to look beyond the familiar narratives
Right.
and to recognize the often unsung heroes
Right.
who help shape the course of history.
You know, it's striking how this song manages to pack so much depth and nuance into its portrayal of these figures.
Yeah.
It's not just a simple retelling of their stories.
Oh.
It's an invitation to reconsider our assumptions
Yeah.
and to see them in a new light.
I completely agree. It's like the songwriter took these traditional figures and infused them with contemporary perspective,
Right.
making them relevant and relatable
Right.
to a modern audience.
It's almost like they've been brought to life in a whole new way,
Yeah,
but we're not quite done yet, right?
you're absolutely right.
There's still more to uncover.
There are still some fascinating details and insights waiting to be explored. And I think by delving deeper,
Yeah.
we can gain an even richer understanding
Right.
of the complexity and diversity
Yeah.
of this remarkable group of individuals.
Well, then let's not waste any more time.
Okay.
Let's keep diving into this musical tapestry
All right.
and see what other treasures we can find.
It's really struck me, as we've been unpacking this song,
Yeah.
how it goes beyond just listing names and facts. You know, it's like it's trying to capture
Yeah.
the spirit of these figures,
Hmm.
their struggles, their triumphs, and
Yeah.
what made them so compelling.
I think that's a great observation.
Yeah,
The song doesn't shy away from,
right.
complexities of their personalities.
It acknowledges their doubts, their flaws,
Yeah.
even their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that makes them even more relatable
Right.
and inspiring.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like instead of putting them on a pedestal, it brings them down to earth,
Right.
making them feel like real people
Yeah.
who grappled with real challenges, just like we do today.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes their stories so timeless.
Right.
They weren't superhuman.
Right.
They were ordinary people
Yeah.
who encountered something extraordinary, and their lives were forever changed.
It's like their humanness makes their faith even more remarkable.
Yeah.
They weren't born saints. They became who they were through their experiences, their choices,
Right.
and their unwavering commitment to following Jesus.
I think you've hit on a really important point there. It's about the journey,
Right.
the process of growth and transformation.
Yeah.
Their stories remind us that faith is not a static thing.
Right.
It's a dynamic process,
Yeah.
a lifelong journey
Right.
of seeking, questioning, and ultimately finding a deeper connection to what we believe in.
So as we wrap up this rather unique deep dive into the world of the apostles and disciples,
Yeah.
what's the one big takeaway you hope our listener walks away with?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the realization that inspiration can come from the most unexpected places. We often think of history and faith as being confined to textbooks and scriptures.
Right.
But this song shows us that they can be explored through art, music, poetry, anything that speaks to the human experience.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to keep our minds open, to look for meaning and inspiration in unexpected corners of the world,
Right.
and to never underestimate the power of creative expression
Yeah.
to illuminate even the most familiar stories.
And I think it's also a call to action. It's an invitation to engage with these stories, to question,
Right.
to explore, and to find our own personal connections to these figures and their teachings.
Yeah.
Their journeys might have taken place centuries ago,
Right.
but the lessons they offer
Yeah.
are still relevant today.
Absolutely. It's not about blindly accepting what we're told,
Right.
but about actively seeking understanding, asking questions,
Yeah.
and finding meaning that resonates with our own lives and experiences.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe this deep dive will inspire some of our listeners to create, their own artistic interpretations of these timeless figures.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating.
Yeah.
Imagine the different perspectives and insights that could emerge.
Right.
It just goes to show that even stories as old as time can continue to inspire, challenge, and offer new depths of meaning for generations to come.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of the apostles and disciples, as seen through the lens of a song.
Right.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world of knowledge and wonder